I'm 300 miles from Cape Horn and I'm back in 30 to 40 knots of breeze. The sea stays quite large. My mainsail has a lot of windows where there's not a lot of it left, but I've had to hoist it. I've got to get to Cape Horn before Thursday night, so I can clear the Cape before I experience the storm. At the moment I'm looking at the weather models now to try and find the best way to avoid the worst of the weather when I'm back in the Atlantic. It's not going to be an easy couple of days and I'm really not looking forward to it at the moment.
Well, Dee, first of all, I think it's quite an important turning point for this race for you.
Yeah, I'm actually at the big left-hand turn. I'm just still to the west, but only slightly, and south of Cape Horn. But unfortunately, the big left-hand turn isn't quite the celebration we were expecting. My third time around the Horn, and I'm actually sat waiting and going as slowly as I can for a big storm to pass over so I don't get the worst of the weather. So it's a bit of a challenge this time around the Horn.
How's it comparing with the other times? Because the other times you were going into the weather. At least this time it's behind you, I suppose.
Well, there is that, but it's kind of got a really nasty sting in its tail. So it's kind of ruined my big left-hand turn and the chance to point towards home a little bit. But I'm sure I can celebrate once this storm's gone through, maybe on Saturday instead of today.
So how far are you at the moment from the actual Horn itself?
Well, I'm currently sailing away from the Horn at the moment, which is kind of bizarre, in a southeasterly direction. I'm doing a little tour of the continental shelf, which is extremely pleasant. But it's 70 miles from me now, and we've been advised by Météo France not to actually sail with any pace until tomorrow afternoon. And by then we'll be in 50 knots of wind, so it's going to be very different to how I am sat at the moment, which is actually quite pleasant.
This is not happened really before, in that the race organisation advise you to go somewhere else other than going around Cape Horn. It's quite unusual.
It is. You can kind of tell the severity of the storm by the level of stress and the number of people it affects.
I mean, you've been nursing that mainsail. It must be really frustrating for you.
It is, and I think frustrating is the right word, because it's something that's completely beyond my doing, my control, and it's having a massive effect on my racing. And I was kind of hoping to enter back into the Atlantic, have more confidence, weather gets better, and push that a little bit harder and put some miles on the boys. But unfortunately, I've got to sort this mainsail out and then nurse it to the finish line. I'm sure it will get me there, but I've got to do a pretty big repair before I can get too excited. But I've got to wait for some good weather, and that seems to be far away at the moment. You know, it is one of those things, and there's something that could go wrong on every boat, and you kind of pack for every eventuality. And I think after this now, you know, next time I go sailing, I'll probably have a lot more sailcloth on board, because that's been my experience this time. But it'll probably be something else that goes wrong. So, you know, you learn every time you go sailing, and this is testing my DIY skills quite significantly.
I suppose you're keeping an eye on some other sails or other material to keep mending the sails. Have you got enough, do you think, of bits of that you can adapt?
Well, what we're actually going to do, which is quite radical, is actually use one of my other sails. So I carry a wardrobe of 11 sails. I'm actually going to sacrifice one of the others that I'm not likely to need and use that cloth, cut it up and use it to repair the mainsail. It won't look pretty, but I need to make sure it's a good job, because obviously the limiting factor is the glue and adhesive that I've got. So I need to make sure it works first time.
Well, good luck with keeping that mainsail going, and you know, you've only got a short distance to go once that storm comes through to get round the corner. And really, although the Atlantic south and north is a long way to go, for you it's almost home, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, the boat's tired, I'm tired, and so it makes it a very difficult 7,000 miles, but it is, relatively speaking, the short leg home. And it's been incredible. I've just spent 38 days in the Southern Ocean compared to 8 last time. So, you know, it's actually going by so quickly that, you know, I'm sure this last section will do as well. I just want to get to the warmer weather and enjoy it a bit more again.
Yes, I bet you do. Well, what do you celebrate once you're around that corner and the storm's gone? It must be a great feeling. At least it's only a day or so away now.
That's right. I mean, the good thing is it's so severe, it's moving very quickly. So it's, as you say, kind of 24 hours of hard work, and then you just know it's going to get better. So everyone's very supportive. The race office has rung the boat a couple of times just to check on how I am, and they'll continue to do that. So it's nice to know that everyone's fully behind what's going on.
Yes, well, we're all watching with great interest, and you're still in the race, and not that many left, really.
I know, it's been a war of attrition, unbelievable, and I think it's going down in history as one of the worst Vendée Globes. So not only did I pick the most competitive year to enter, but I've now picked one of the worst years to enter as well. So if I survive this, then I really hope I'm back in 4 years with the experience I've had and that much more confident.